Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live. I hope you are well this Tuesday morning and have already crushed it. If you haven't, you have plans to do so. We're going to talk about the CSS today. Today is our Tuesday show where we do CSS live critiques of submitted combat swimmer stroke videos. I think we have some lined up for you here in a little bit as you guys congregate. While we get you guys on here, and before you guys start asking questions, let's talk about just the importance of an efficient CSS and why I really get nitpicky with some of the stroke issues that I've seen over the years. Little things like extra flutter kicks, or even more recently, breaststroke pullouts. Um, Maybe even taking those out because they're if you have anything in your 500-yard swim or 500-meter swim, if you're doing a different swim test but you're still using the CSS, the combat side stroke, there are things that can make you lose your momentum. The number one thing is not lose momentum. And just from the start, people lose their momentum off the wall because they're not in a good streamlined body position. They do a breaststroke pullout and an awkward recovery into the stroke, losing all their momentum off the wall. They don't kick off hard enough off the wall. Um, just those right there can take seconds away from each length. And when you're doing 20 lengths, that matters. That can be up to a minute, maybe even a minute and a half, depending on your swim conditioning and your stroke technique. The other part is when you're talking about the actual CSS, the sequence of events, that is a top arm pull, a bottom arm pull, a kick, and a tight arm recovery. Out of those, the things I've seen where people miss creating momentum properly, therefore reducing momentum and keeping themselves slow, is one, they don't pull deep enough or enough of their arm is getting in the water so it actually grabs water and pulls. Um, that needs to look like a freestyle catch. So we can pull other elements of the normal swim strokes that are taught by just about any swim coach. You can take some of those elements and apply them to the CSS. So if you're a freestyle swimmer and know it really well, or you need to take freestyle lessons, I would recommend doing it if you're not good at swimming, because you can apply that top arm freestyle catch to the first pull of the CSS, which is the top arm pull. Now, the bottom arm pull is going to be a little different. That is going to look more like a shorter skull, and that's spelled SCULL. So in breaststroke, you have a different type of stroke compared to the freestyle. So instead of sweeping all the way down, over rotating, and now you got to do all this long recovery to get it back up, what a lot of people have evolved into doing is, instead of making that a huge arm pull, is making it more of like a breaststroke skull. So the top arm is freestyle, bottom arm is breaststroke, and you're inhaling during the breaststroke, not popping up. That's another way to lose momentum, where um, you're moving forward horizontally, but then you pop your head up to breathe, and you've just lost all forward momentum. Now you got to recreate it with the next stroke, versus keeping your momentum and just turning to breathe, and you never lose speed. You're constantly moving. There's sometimes when I film people, I'm just walking and stopping, walking and stopping. Then there's sometimes I film people and I am almost running alongside the pool to keep up with them because they are not losing their momentum. Then, and that's another big way of doing it, is popping up to breathe. So turn to breathe, don't pop up to breathe. Get a good freestyle catch, get a short breaststroke pull on that bottom. And then when your arms are down here, after you've pulled your top arm and bottom arm, it is now a tight recovery. What I see sometimes is guys recovering way out here, and this is like swimming backwards, right? So it's just putting on the brakes and going in reverse. You got to keep everything tight to your body, like a breaststroke recovery. Then you hold that glide after a solid kick. If you don't kick hard enough, you have a weak kick, you're mixing breaststroke with scissor kick, you're doing too many flutter kicks, all of those things can really slow your momentum down. Now, at first, a lot of extra flutter kicks can probably speed you up, but maintaining all those extra flutter kicks for a 500 is likely not going to happen. And if you can do it, you probably accumulated an extra 500 kicks in a 500-yard swim. And how do you think that is going to affect the rest of the PST? It might be great if you're just taking a swim test, but you still need to do sit-ups, which is a lot of hip flexor work, which flutter kicks works those hip flexors. And it's also a 1.5 mile run later, which will crush your 1.5 mile run if you've just done 500 flutter kicks. Trust me, seen it happen. So I don't just make this stuff up. This is from years of watching people fumble with PSTs, and often enough, it starts off with losing momentum, not pacing themselves on events like the swim, the sit-ups, and the run, and just not practicing, doing calisthenics and running, or swimming, then doing calisthenics and running. There's a sequence of the PST. Now, if you're doing the Air Force IFT, you're going to do the calisthenics first, the run second, and the swim last. So it turns upside down. So in the big picture, it doesn't really matter how you train it, but you want to train all of them. And a couple of days a week, if you can work it in your schedule, actually train the way you're going to be tested. That means if you're taking the Navy PST, you swim first, do calisthenics second, you run last. Or if you're taking the IFT, you're going to do the PT and run first and then swim last. All of those are very helpful for you to crush a PST. And it all starts with the swim, being efficient. So how important is being efficient with the CSS? It's going to allow you to have enough energy to perform optimally on all the other events after that swim, because you haven't burned yourself out. I've seen wrestlers who could do 120 push-ups, sit-ups, 30 plus pull-ups, run a 8:30 mile and a half, and they suck at swimming, and they wind up doing like 15 strokes per length for a 500-yard swim, getting about a 10:30. So they're swimming 2 minutes fast longer than some of the other guys. Plus, they're working 3 times as hard as the other guys. And those perfect scores on a PST on the land portion are cut in half. And they got no juice left for the run. They run like a just barely sub 10, and 70, 70, 15 on the pull-ups, just because they wiped themselves out in that swim. So that's why it is so important. And that is why I'm a little nitpicky on some of my coaching, because I want you to be fast, but I also want you to be efficient. There's no reason to be fast if you're just wasting all your energy on the swim. You got nothing left for everything else. So there you go. That is my 9-minute rant on the CSS. Let's take some questions, and then I'll start introducing some of my new CSS videos. And I am debuting my GoPro video for the first time. So I have a GoPro that I am now coaching with. I'm using it as a coaching method, and it's one of those things I should have done 10 years ago. But you evolve. That's what life's all about. Hey, Sue, I got a question, and I want to be a Navy SEAL. I'm 19. People telling me I should first be a firefighter, then go in the military. Do you think that's a good idea? It's not a bad idea, especially if you're a New York City firefighter. That's badass. Training on the Fire Academy there is a good foundation builder, good stepping stone to getting into more military special ops programs. Not saying it is needed. I mean, very rarely are there former firefighters that are becoming SEALs. They do, but I would say if you were to look at the majority of your class, you might have classes for 10 in a row that have no former firefighters in them. So it's not like, shouldn't say it's not good advice. It's great advice, especially if you're 19, you haven't finished growing yet, you want to build up some maturity, live on your own for a while, do that for a couple of years, go to buds at 23, 24. That's solid. I could see that. So it's not a bad idea. It's just not a common idea. How's that? To maintain swim level 2 to 3 times a week, how much intensity distance do you believe is needed? As in the 50-50, good for maintenance, or should the distance be increased? That's a good question. If you're swimming 2 to 3 times a week, I would do, let's say if it's 2, I would do like 50-50 or 100-hundreds, 1,500 to 2,000 meters total. One day, and I would swim with fins for 2,000 meters total the next day, or the second workout, if you're just maintaining it. If you're doing a third, my advice would be pick one or the other. If you want to work your legs a little more, put on fins. If you want to work your cardio a little more, do some more 50-50s. Or you could do a combo on that third one and do like half and half. So you do like 1,000 of 50-50s, you do 1,000 of swimming with fins. I think that's plenty if you're just trying to maintain it. Because you're solid already, you just want to maintain it, get wet a couple times, have some non-impact cardio activity under your belt. That's how I would do it. Got your cows and cardio book. Wanted to ask you about running. So when you ask about cows and cardio, calisthenics and cardio workouts, ask about running. In beginner program, what's the ideal distance to run for 15 minutes? For example, I ran 1.5 miles in 15 minutes. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, that's a beginner type run. I mean, that's a 10-minute mile. Eventually, you're going to want to be able to run your full 1.5 miles in under 10 minutes. Eventually, you're going to be able to run 2 miles in 15 minutes. So, I mean, even if you were to run 2 miles in 15 minutes, that's still a 7:30 pace, where eventually, you're not there yet, which is fine. Eventually you should be able to run a 6-minute mile pace, 7-minute mile pace, somewhere in there, so maybe even get your 2 mile down to 13 minutes or less. Some get it down to 12 minutes, 6-minute miles for 2 miles. So that is a good place to start. And then slowly get a little faster. Put a little more effort into it. I've mastered the CSS, former competitive swimmer, former Navy SAR. Awesome. Thank you. I've integrated CSS as a major component of my pool training. It's been tremendously beneficial. Hey, good job. If you're doing a lot of it, I do recommend, working bilateral type training. So work both sides, so you're not just swimming one side all the time. If you're just swimming a 500-yard swim test, no big deal. Crush that thing. Stay on your strong side if you can. If you want to, do it. But if you're swimming, a couple thousand, 2,000 meters a day to 10,000 meters a week, definitely want to switch sides with that. But that's a good job, man. Love it. Yeah, it doesn't take long for a competitive swimmer to master the CSS. It's literally mixing some freestyle with breaststroke modifications, and you got yourself a solid CSS. My strength endurance circuits right now are geared towards the IFT, calisthenics, and sandbag exercises for selection. Any common log movements other than chest lunges and shoulder to shoulder? Yes. In fact, if you check out in fact, there may be one in here, the calisthenics and cardio workout, but I know there are some in the, yeah, there's some in here in the later weeks. It's called the Sam Baby Devil Murph. All right. If you want to get close to what selection exercises are like, I want you to Google Sam Baby Devil Murph. And it should say the official Sam Baby Devil Murph. This is what we do here. And we use it to simulate log PT. We use it to simulate high repetition calisthenics, mixing in the Devil's Mile, which is bear crawl, lunges, fireman carries, burpee broad jumps, or you can do farmer walks if you want to work on grip and you have equipment carry type stuff. But yeah, we do this all the time, and it simulates. So chest carry sit-ups, shoulder carry squats, overhead presses like you mentioned, chest carry lunges, and just chest carry walking, right? Go for a walk, jog combo, and just chest carry it right there. You're going to feel it in your biceps, in your lower back, and that's where you want to feel it. But yeah, check out this article I'm putting into the comment section, and it is the official Sam Baby Devil Murph. If you're looking for things to simulate log movements and other type challenging selection type events, bear crawls, fireman carries, all that stuff. Let's see. Stu, dad of 13-month-old and a girl on the way. Nice. In Feb, don't have much time to work out. Not trying to join the military. Just want to look good. What's a body weight 15-minute workout? I have a pull-up bar. Something I would do if you only have 15, 20 minutes to do is just do pyramids. Every other day you do an upper body pyramid. Every other day you do a leg pyramid. And the way you do that is you do 1 pull-up, 2 push-ups, pick an ab, multiply it by 3, right? Set 2, you go 2, 4, 6. Set 3, 3, 6, 9. Set 4, 4, 6, 12, or 4, 8, 12, right? And just go up, go up, go up till you can't go up anymore. Turn around, come back down if you still have time. There's no reason why you can't do a 1, 8, 1 pyramid in 15 minutes. That's at a minute each, and those early sets only take about 20, 30 seconds to do. So you might even, fastest I've ever seen a 110 1 pyramid is about 20 minutes. So, and that wasn't even with sit-ups. So with sit-ups, it's going to add a little bit more time into it, or abs are going to add a little more time. That's what I would do. And then I do the same thing with little short distance running and legs. So one of my favorite leg workouts I like to do, I tend to use it as a workout, but you can use it as a full workout too. I use it as a warm-up. You could use it as a workout. 1 squat, run, and that run could be up a hill, could be up a flight of steps and down. It could just be flat ground, fast, like sprint level. 2 squats on the other side, 3 squats coming back, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Get up and see what you can do in 15 minutes. Challenge yourself for a 15-minute put out evolution on your leg day, on your upper body day. See how high you can go without stopping. If you have to stop, start turning back down so it gets a little bit easier, or you can go up until you fail. And let's say you fail in like 7 minutes. All right, go back at 1 and start back up again. See if you can get up there in another 7 minutes and you're done. That's what I would do. In fact, I have done that countless times when, I had infants and they were keeping me up all night. And I really only had a mind to do just a few minutes of my own workout, followed by, and then make one day a cardio day where you just run or bike for 15, 20 minutes. There you go. Good question. I like those kind of questions. When doing mountain climbers, chaser rabbits, whew, those are good ones. Do you plant the foot forward on the deck repetition or need a chest foot in the air? You know what? That's a really good question. I've seen it both ways. I will tell you this. It's faster to do it with your foot not being planted, but um, you can also do it the other way. So if you need to catch up or they're going really fast, just know that you don't have to plant that foot on the ground. You just kind of keep your hips in tight, bring your knee to your chest and just bring it straight down, almost like you're doing a leg tuck, but it's at a diagonal angle and it's one leg at a time. Good question. Hey, you guys ready for some CSS videos? Because I want to show you my new thing. All right, so we have this. I'm going to make this a little bigger. Nice. All right, so you guys can see my new GoPro at work. All right, so check this out. So we're going to watch what a kick should not be. Remember, it's pull, breathe, kick, glide. It's not pull, breathe, kick, 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 glide, right? It's pull, breathe, kick, glide. One kick. And he's just moving his legs, which does not help with his streamline very much. And if you notice, he has kind of tight ankles, so he's not really using his feet to propel water backwards. So he's got some ankle mobility issues that are kind of affecting the way he glides. Now, this is something I really want you to show. I showed a picture of this the other day in my YouTube. All right, so I've been working on this one, shoulder mobility, right? Because I'm noticing when he swims, if he swims on his side, he is like swimming to the left, whatever side he's on, or he's swimming to the right. And the reason why is he's swimming like a banana. Like his glide looks like this, not like this. Okay. So his posture gets poor as he's swimming. But if you notice, he's really trying right now. This is not too bad. His hands could be a little flatter, shoulder could be down a little more, feet are up though. That's good. All right. So notice what happens as he gets it. Like right now, it's not a horrible streamline, but watch what happens 2 seconds in. Boom. What happens? Look at that angle. I mean, what is that? Maybe a 30-degree angle when it's supposed to be 0 degrees, right? So all of this right here, hands, shoulders, hips, should all be in the same line, right? So this is what I mean by swimming like a banana when you do this. And we are working diligently on loosening this up. One, stretching the chest in front of the shoulders so this stuff can go down, but then also working some strengthening exercises so he can pull his shoulder blades back a little more and actually get into a better streamlined position. He also can't squeeze his biceps on his ears, so he has some tight shoulders, in that plane as well. All right, so let's continue this on and watch what I'm talking about. So good top arm, bottom arm. You notice that little shorter bottom arm. Top arm's a good one. Bottom arm's a little skull. I like the kick. The actual first kick is really good, but then all the little extra kicks are screwing him up. Now, notice this right here, right? This is his streamlined body position. Like he's not straightening this arm here. He's not straightening this one. It's still a little bent. I like to have this bicep and this bicep squeezing my head when I'm gliding. And he's just not there. So anyway, that's my new GoPro. Kind of fun, huh? So we'll do a lot more videos underwater now, just because it's a lot easier. And this is pretty nicely set up. A couple more questions. In my prime, my events were fly and 200 meter. Nice. 200 IM. Um, but always hated backstroke, so I replaced it with the CSS. Nice. I like it. That's a logical choice. I like that idea. All right, so I'm gonna pull up this next one real quick so we have it when we're ready. Chilly, rainy morning, South Maryland. Yeah, it was like 39 degrees, a little bit of rain coming down. Just want to ask you more info before ordering seasonal tactical fitness periodization, new ones in the summer, spring, fall, winter individual, as I'm following spring, summer, and fall, winter. I don't know. Is there a question in there? So you're already following the spring, summer, fall, winter combo one. Yeah. The only difference really is there's two big differences. First of all, the fall, winter combo with the spring, summer combo, I did that in 2019. So it's not long ago. I haven't like evolved that much since 2019. But the one place I did evolve, um, and that is coming up with the idea of block periodization. So in the latest programs that you see, like this one and this one, right? This is my spring, this is my winter. So we're going to do the winter lift cycle next. We'll jump right into the spring. The difference is block periodization, we do 3 weeks in the winter. We'll do 3 weeks of strength training, 1 week of cows and cardio, just to kind of do a winter deload and to use that cows and cardio time, just focus on some of the elements that we were crushing in the summer. I don't want them to lose. Then in the spring and summer, we do the same thing, but in reverse. We'll do 3 weeks of um, 3 weeks of cows and cardio with 1 week of lifting. So if that sounds appealing to you, you could do that with the programs you have. You could do 3 weeks of the winter program if you're in the fall winter program right now, then go into the spring and do 1 week of the spring, right? And just bounce around like that if you so choose. Or you can follow it as written and as created by us in 2022 when we actually did these and saw the results of them personally. So I always write these workouts a year after I have done them. So it's not like me sitting at a typewriter saying, "Oh, this sounds good. Let's throw this in there. This sounds good. Let's throw this in there," and not test it out. We're actually doing these workouts for a full year. And then I also see the guys that have gone on do well and crush whatever selection they're doing. And, we, it has some results behind it. And that's with all my workouts. Sir, I'm failing to understand this part. The kick happens during the arm recovery or at the end of the arm recovery? The kick prompts the arm recovery. So as you're opening your legs to kick, your arms are moving forward. And then by the time you kick, you are already in a streamlined body position, ready to utilize the kick power into a streamlined glide. Pull, breathe, kick, glide. Also, I know you disagree with sleeping in the afternoon, but would you recommend when you are not sleeping 8 hours a night and more like 5 to 6? If you have time to take a little cat nap, do it. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying where people screw up their scheduling for spec ops selection is they spend a year working out hard, taking a nap, eating lunch, working out hard, taking a nap, or laying around doing nothing. Maybe even getting a third workout in, go for cardio in the evening. But they're just they're working out and they're resting, working out and resting. And at buds, it's going to be, or whatever selection you're going to be, you're going to be on your feet all day doing something, right? You might get an hour classroom time, getting a brief on something you're about to do. But 9 times out of 10, you're just going to be running around doing stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean you're running and swimming and doing obstacle courses and rucking or carrying boats and logs. You're just in between those events. You're cleaning the boats. You're getting the boats ready for the next evolution. You're getting ready for, walking your way over to the other side of the base for the next evolution. It's always something that you're doing. I'm just saying, keep moving just to prepare for that level of daily activity, because it's not the individual events that really get most people. It's the grind of the day. An 18-hour day is a long day. And that's just an average day. Every now and then you might get a 12-hour day and you're like, damn, this is awesome. So there you go. First time watching live. How can I get my CSS critique? Just send it to me. A lot of people DM me on Instagram or they email me, stu@stewsmith.com. Have you ever dealt with inner ankle pain when running? I heard it running one day and has been bothering me for a couple of months. Yeah, if there's an ankle pain, I have had it. I have sprained both ankles at least a dozen times each. In fact, one is so bad I have had surgical repair of it. Usually some compression, a wrap is helpful. Make sure your shoes fit well and your ankle's not rubbing in your shoe. If you have some arch issues that's causing your foot to collapse inward, that's going to hurt that inside of your ankle. Just so many different things. I don't even know where to begin on it, other than if it hurts to run, stop running. If it hurts to walk, don't run. And if it hurts just standing around doing nothing, go see a doctor. It's about my best advice I can give you with running and pain. What are good times for a 4-mile run and 2-mile swim? I like to get my guys down to a 28-minute 4-mile run. Easy, not a 28 4-mile run gut check like they're putting their last bit of glycogen into this run. I want them to be able to do a 28 4-mile run. Even when they're having a bad day, they can still hit 7-minute mile. For the 2-mile swim, anywhere between 65, 75 minutes is good. Most of my guys get between 65 and 70. Now, the reason why I like those times is if you have a 4-mile timed run in first phase, you got to do it in under 32 minutes. So you're 4 minutes under the minimum standard, which is a good place to be. If you are swimming a 70-minute in first phase, you have 85 minutes before you fail the swim. That's a good place to be, especially if you can get out of the water, go start taking off all your gear, drying off, eating, drinking, get ready to go while people are still swimming. And then there's people that are going to be swimming for another 20 minutes. They'll fail it by 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. And then they get hammered for another 15 minutes while you're sitting there eating an orange, waiting for them to get done so you can go to the next evolution. That's a good place to be. So if you can avoid extra buds, that's why I recommend those scores. Do you recommend getting good at normal strokes, freestyle and breaststroke to better help in the water? Although at buds, it seems like mostly combat side stroke. Oh, not only mostly, absolutely. You're going to be swimming CSS with fins 99% of the time of your swims. Normal strokes, sure. Freestyle, breaststroke. I think the reason why I like to do the freestyle, and that's why I put it into the 50-50 workouts. If you haven't seen the 50-50 workouts, Google it. It's a great workout. In fact, I've seen people go from 10 minutes to 8 minutes in less than a month. In fact, I'll put it in the comment section if you're not familiar with it. So we mix in freestyle because it's a great way to train to get in shape for swimming. Breaststroke is a really useful stroke as well. Even though you can't do it with fins, it is a good stroke to learn for treading because the egg beater is nothing more than an alternating breaststroke kick. So the more you can work on that breaststroke kick, that will help you tread. So yes, in a sorry, that was a long answer, but the short answer is absolutely. It's never a bad thing to learn all of those things because you can pull some of them. You might get a really good teacher in freestyle. Next thing you know, your freestyle catch, your top arm pull is doing most of the work, and you're breaking 8 minutes for the first time because you learned how to pull. All right, let's do this. Share another one. This is not a YouTube video, but I'm sorry, this is not a GoPro video, but it is one submitted. All right, not bad. So here's a couple things. Just a couple things I see. Kicking off the wall. Probably could have gone a little longer before he started this breaststroke pullout. In fact, another thing too is if he'd be wearing jammers or like biker type swim shorts, probably able to glide a little further too. Those board shorts there are just like, see that big pocket? That's like swimming with a parachute. All right, so top arm, bottom arm, kick. That's pretty good. I will say this. I think your head's up a little too high. You can look, tuck your head down a little bit. No need to be looking forward. I know this is a little nitpicky, but if you take a look at this position right here, so you tell me which is more streamlined, this or this? All right, duck that head down now. Tuck your chin. You can see the black line fine still. You just don't need to be looking up, almost 90 degrees. I mean, that is like looking right at the wall when you should be looking right here. I mean, if you want to, you could look like right here just so you see the T just a little earlier. But I'm being very nitpicky on this one. This is a really good swim. This is a yard per second pace. Now that turnaround was a little slow, and his head is just plowing the water. So I don't recommend having the head up that high. So drop your head down, and that's the only thing I'd really fix on this. Top arm. Oh, see that short? Remember me talking about arm pulls? See how close that is to his body? Like he could grab a lot more water instead of pulling water this way. He grabs water this way, right? Grabs water perpendicular to him, pulls and pushes it. He could get a little better top arm pull. Bottom arm's fine. Top arm turn, bottom arm breathe, really good. That's still a 50-second 50. So if he's still doing a 50-second 50 with those issues going, there's no reason why he can't be doing 45-second 50s just by fixing his head position and pulling a little deeper with that freestyle catch. That's a good swim. If you were training for AFSOC, what swim strokes would you say we should master? Additionally, how much help can master swim be, or even swim competitions, water polo for WaterCon? All of the above are excellent ways to get into swimming shape and better water. You all. I mean, I think swimming freestyle, swimming side stroke, swimming breaststroke. I mean, those three strokes right there will help you tremendously when swimming. But I will say this also: you need to swim with fins. So on a day when you are working your legs, let's say you're doing squats and lunges and jumps and sled pulls and box jumps, whatever, running and rucking, add in a swim with fins. on those leg days, just because you need to develop the hip strength to power those rocket fins and the ankle mobility so it doesn't feel like your feet are wanting to fall off when you first put on a pair of fins. But yeah, all of those. Water polo is great. If you can tread like a water polo player, boom, you win, right? Anything with the tread, you will win if you can tread like a water polo player. I mean, I will be honest with you. I learned the egg beater from a water polo player, and I was 25 when I learned it. So I was already in the teams when I just asked him. I saw him doing the egg beater underwater. I'm like, show me how to do that, right? Because I don't understand it. And he explained it the way I now explain it is it's a breaststroke kick. It's just an alternating breaststroke kick. And once I understood that, I was like, oh, kind of like kicking a soccer ball to the bottom of the pool. And then, those are kind of my coaching tips that I give for learning the egg beater kick. In fact, I've written a lot about the egg beater. In fact, if you're having a hard time doing the egg beater, it's probably a mobility issue with your hips, knees, and ankles. Treading is always a mobility issue for most non-swimming athletes. So check out this article right here if you have not seen it. Okay, Jackson continues. For prior non-swimming athletes, have you known any who trained themselves to competitive swimmer levels? If so, what did their training progression look like and how can we copy that? Well, you can copy it by doing this because this is all they did. Telling you. They first learned how to do the CSS, and then we mixed in freestyle to make swimming just a little harder because I find freestyle's a little harder on the heart and lungs versus the CSS. So that's where the 50-50 kind of generated from that mentality. Before the 50-50, in other programs in my books, I would do skip breathing workouts. Some people call them hypoxic swim training, where you would do like 4 strokes per breath. So left, right, 4. Then you go 6 strokes per breath, left, right, left, right, left, right. Or if you're an odd breather and you like breathing bilaterally, you could go 5, 7, 9, but you work your way up this little pyramid of strokes per breath, and you'll see you get really winded from that. And so that's going to help you get in a little bit better swimming shape. It's going to help you get a little bit more comfortable in water, being winded, trying to catch your breath while you're treading water or catch your breath while bobbing, floating. Those kind of things are very useful skills. So a lot of our rest periods after a hard swim set, say you're sprinting 100 freestyle, skip breathing the whole time. So the time you get back, you're near max heart rate, and now you got to catch your breath with sinking down to the bottom and bobbing or laying there floating, without touching the wall. That builds some confidence in the water, also helps you build some ability to swim. But I will say this, probably the fastest non-swimming athlete that I have seen, and he was a tennis player, had another guy that was a soccer player, and they both broke 7 minutes on the CSS. So 6:45, 6:50, somewhere around there. So they got really good at the CSS. Where, put it this way, if they were just cruising, just a nice steady easy day, they were doing 7:30 on the CSS. Like if they put out, made it a little harder, they could break 7. So I would consider that competitive level swimming for the CSS. I don't, be honest with you, I don't really care what your freestyle time is or your breaststroke time is, unless you're testing with the breaststroke. So I never really gauge that much. For most non-swimming athletes, they don't go to the breaststroke because unless you've swum breaststroke competitively in your life, you're probably not very good at it. So most of them do really well with going with the CSS using a scissor kick because they spent their whole life running on land developing these muscles that do a scissor kick versus these muscles that do a breaststroke kick. Does that make sense, Jackson? All right, so let me see. I think I got one pulled up here. Can't remember who this is. Let's do another one, eh? Share my screen. All right, here we go. Kicks off. Looks like on top of the water. You can see that shoulder tightness. If he was swimming in a big body of water without a black line on it to keep you straight, he would be swimming to the left right now.
Definitely the
And probably
shoulder
he kept his eyes
tightness, as we
shut
saw.
and just swam. In about 1 minute, he'd do a complete 360. 'Cause that's the way it works. Basically, he's swimming like a one-legged duck
Let's try to kick harder.
with that curvature in his posture and his shoulders. So right now he's trying to work on his posture. So his kick is slow. His arm pulls, his arms are slow. He's really trying to focus on his posture, which he's not doing that well in, but he's getting better, much better. He's actually gotten about 10 seconds faster since we started focusing on this. And he's still swimming about a minute per 50. So my goal is to clean this up a little bit, let him kick a little harder, let him work on this pull a little bit, keep those arms a little tighter on the recovery, work on that recovery position,
Definitely
glide position, and next thing you know, we'll be 50-second 50. Probably in the next couple of weeks. All right, pros and cons for going to a military academy like West Point instead of going enlisted right away. Well, let's go with pros because I was a academy guy too. I just went to the Navy. College is free. That's a pro. Um, you have a wall around you, so it is safe. You can't really go out a lot except for weekends. So your social life is really kind of sucks, to be honest with you. So I could give you a con there, but it forces you almost to just stay focused on your school and your military training and your workouts versus having the ability to walk across the hall and go to a party and start getting hammered. So I knew that as an 18-year-old kid, when I went to the University of Florida and I went to Florida State for a visit, I knew that I could not go back there. I was there on a Thursday, and I'm like, "Good lord, you guys do this on a Thursday?" It's like my first experience of like college life on a Thursday. It was some of the craziest partying I've ever seen. Remind you, this is also in the '80s, and in Florida at Florida State and University of Florida. And while it was fun for someone who didn't have college classes, I couldn't imagine being there in college classes. And then I saw police come arrest this one college kid for drinking and driving. I'm like, you know what? If I don't have a wall around me, this is going to be me. And so I really put in. I mean, I was already committed to go to the Naval Academy. Well, about a month later, I got committed to go to the Naval Academy. But I'd already applied to the Naval Academy. I knew I wanted to go there, and that really kind of cinched it for me as far as wanting to go. Now, when you graduate 4 years later, you're an officer. Um, that is a whole other list of pros and cons that occurs. It's a different job. You're leading. You're in charge of people. You're Well, when you first get out, you're not really in charge of people. You have some people that you take care of, and people above you are in charge of you that are in charge of them, and you're just basically dispatching the word of your own bosses. Um, so you know, there's it really depends on what job you want afterwards. I will say this, if you're trying to go special forces in the army, it is 100% better to enlist as a special forces operator versus the officer. And here's why. The officer, it takes about 3 to 4 years to get to selection. You're like just under captain to get to selection. You're there, you go through selection just like all the other guys. Um, you graduate. Now you get it accepted into one of the special forces units where you are there for a tour, maybe two. Um, so 2 to 4 years maybe, and then after that, it really depends on what's going on in the world. After that, you will most likely go back to a conventional job and learn another level of leadership of more people, maybe battalion level officer. But after that, you can come back to a special forces unit at a higher level job. It might be 5 to 8 years before you're back. So you're in and out of special forces um, as an officer. Whereas if you're enlisted, you will be there your entire career as long as you don't screw up and do something stupid. Is that a good enough answer? There's a whole bunch of them. I could have gone a couple of different paths, but I wanted to get something to you. Let's see. Part says I'm definitely going to get those seasonal tactical fitness periodization programs. I'm very happy with my results with them. Any personal suggestions for struggling with allergies? Much appreciated those cooking videos. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, my son has been doing pretty well with his cooking, and in fact, he has now gone to YouTube because I think me creating memes for him made him realize, oh, there's other ways to do this too. And so he goes to YouTube and gets cooking advice from YouTube, and he's making all kinds of fun stuff. In fact, he's home for Thanksgiving now, and he's probably going to make us dinner from one of his YouTube videos he watched. And he also brought home the burrito bowls that I taught him to make too. He had a big batch of it that he didn't want to leave in his refrigerator. Um, but yeah, with allergies, I usually take a Claritin every morning during allergy season here in Maryland. So get on a Zyrtec, a Claritin, find something that works for you. See if that helps. It's not always the best option, but sometimes it works for some people. Works for me for sure. All right, I'm gonna put this next one up. I do have a swim with fins option for you. Jackson says, makes sense. Thanks again for everything you do for the community. I guess my final question is how much time in the water should AFSOC trainees get in a week's glance? Some say 2 hours at a minimum. What do you think? That's not a bad amount of time, to be honest with you. The amount of pool skills, if you're trying to go PJ, those type of jobs, it's really tough. I mean, treading water, buddy breathing, snorkel is not easy. Um, all the drown proofing, the over unders, swim conditioning alone, swimming with uniform on, swimming with fins. Um, I mean, all of that takes time in the water. But yeah, I would say 5 to 6 days a week, at least an hour a day. But if you can get a couple of days in there with 2 hour days, never a bad thing. And where I would put that extra time in would be, warming up with a 500-meter swim and a 10-minute tread. So there's 20 minutes right there, right? So that's your warm up. And then after that, you do long swim with fins for 45 minutes. And after that, you do some pool skills. You tread, you bottom bounce, you float, do all the drown proofing drills, do a few over unders. As long as you got a buddy to do it with or a lifeguard to watch you, you know, that that's a good swim day. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, swimmers are in the pool 3 to 4 hours a day. So if you can do 1 to 2, I think that's a good safe range. Would you say it's important to practice running on sand before getting to buds? Well, if you have sand to run in, absolutely use it, because it is a learning experience for not only your lungs and legs, but just the method of doing it. Um, we run on sand every Friday. In fact, we have a little beach. It's a 1 mile beach of sand. We just run back and forth for 4, sometimes 8 miles. Sometimes we put a ruck on and do it as well. Um, Running that beach is very beneficial to all my candidates, whether they are going to buds or not. It just makes running harder. It makes their running better, and they're definitely better runners because of it. So one thing I did is I didn't necessarily have sand at my disposal when I went home, even though I lived in Florida. I lived an hour and a half away from the beach. Sometimes I would drive to the beach and go do that, stay the night, have fun, come back, run again in the morning, come back. Um, but what I did primarily was two things. A friend of mine's dad had a farm. It was a plowed field, and I just asked if I could run the perimeter of this farm. So it was a plowed field. It was a bunch of dirt. It's kind of soft, a little bit softer than the normal ground. So I tried that. That was okay. The other one was in the summer where I lived, this river would always dry up. So I would actually run the river bed, um, for, a couple miles back and forth. And that was all soft sand river bed. Only problem was some places there's like knee deep water you had to run through, and you never know what you're going to step on in knee deep water in northern Florida. So every now and then I would hear gators hitting the water, and you're on a constant lookout for alligators. So I opted to do more hill running and weight vest stair stepper. That's another classic one that one of my firefighter buddies taught me years ago. Is if you don't have all of this, put a weight vest on and go to a stair stepper and crush it. In fact, I wrote an article on it. It's so good. So for those looking for special ops, stair stepping is a useful tool. Great article, great little workout in there. Try that if you don't have sand. Brandon, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Thanks, Heath. Thanks for the advice on the academies. Trying to decide if I want to go PJ Ranger or Academy right after now. Yeah, that's a tough choice. Now, here's one thing. Like if you go right after high school, and let's say you go Army, right? And you try option 40 contract, you get to go to Ranger school. And by 1920, you're there in the Ranger bat. You like it, you stay in. If you so choose to, um, you can still go to the academy up to age of 22. So it's just a different journey to go ahead and do that. Somebody in your chain of command could definitely help you get to the academy. You might have to go to prep school first since you've been out of school for a while. And then you go to academy at age 20, 21, 22. In fact, we have a kid we sponsor that was a Marine for almost 4 years. And he's now a freshman midshipman at age 22. So there are many different routes. You don't have to necessarily decide on one when you could actually do both. With training for Spec Ops, do you recommend doing it in part-time working? Doing it part-time working, or do this needs to be full-time commitment? Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. You could still work. You work full time and still prepare for Spec Ops, but your days are going to be long. You're going to wake up before work, get something done for an hour, hour and a half. You might even take a lunch break and swim for 30 minutes and then eat for 30 minutes if you have that facility available to you. Some people run for 30 minutes and then eat for 30 minutes if you have a shower facility at your work. You work, you go to school, do whatever, and then you work out again after work. Nothing new there. Plenty of us have done that one. All right, folks. I got one more CSS video to show you, and then I think I'm done. So let me share this. It's been an hour already, so I appreciate your time with this. So let's show
kicking. Yeah, try to do a couple dolphin kicks off the wall to get your momentum. Right.
When I'm kicking off, it is really awkward kicking off the
kicking. Yeah, try to do a couple dolphin kicks off the wall to get your
kick off the wall and start dolphin kicking. Just 2 big dolphin kicks to get your momentum going. It's really easy. Your feet are together. I mean, you could do flutter kicks if you want to. I've just found 2 big dolphin kicks, get your momentum going. Now you're ready to roll.
All right, kicking. Yeah, try to do a couple dolphin kicks off the wall to get your momentum because it is awkward pushing off the wall.
Now what he's doing,
so this is a good CSS
a scissor kick
that the Navy uses.
I personally,
you guys are probably going to be using more of
glide,
the.
I like to do a
you guys are probably
flutter kick, but there is an actual place for this. If you have a current that is pushing you, let's say you're going to swim a mile this way and a mile back. When you're swimming to the buoy to turn around, that current may be pushing you there. This is a great option to swim with the current using this kick, where you just kind of kick and glide, kick and glide, and let the water move you.
Lead arm, trail arm.
The other thing is, if you're swimming back and now you're going against that current, that is when you need constant flutter kicks. And basically, you just use your arms when you need to breathe. So kick 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, 3, pull and breathe. Plus, he needs to be more on his side when he does this stroke.
Later in your training, you can use the CSS with fins,
kicking and rolling on his belly.
And your choices here.
If he were doing a scissor kick like you're doing, his feet would be coming out of the water. He kicks on his side and then he rolls on his belly. Doing constant flutter kicks, you want to do it all the way on your side.
So you got some options here. This looks really good and fast.
It's just awkward. Your feet come out of the water.
All right,
you know, your hamstrings are tight, and you're not really effective. All right, last question. We talked about the 50-50 swim workout. Do you recommend doing it every day for a month or do it every other day? I'm 5'7" cross-country runner trying to improve my 13:30 500 yards. Yes, so you already have a good aerobic base. You're just not in swimming shape. So my advice to you is to get in swimming shape by swimming 5 days a week. You do, put it this way. You give me 20 50-50. Now, I will say this, if your CSS is not very technically sound, your improvements are going to be less. But send me a video. Let me see what your swim looks like. I give you the check mark, say, okay, that's good. Now you just need to get in shape. If you do 15 to 20 50-50s, that means 5 a week for 3 to 4 weeks. Let me know what you get. I've seen people go from 10:30 to 8 flat in as little as 3 weeks. Where you are at 13:30, usually there's a corresponding technique issue that's holding you back, not necessarily um, conditioning too, but swimming conditioning too, but probably a technique issue that's holding you back at a 13:30. Something doesn't look like it. So my advice is get a video of you swimming. Take a look at some of these other perfect CSS videos. If you're looking for a perfect CSS video, let me show you. I have this whole TikTok channel. You can go to my TikTok channel and look at all this. So as you can see here, this is just nothing but me critiquing people's CSS. You know, I got a whole bunch of these. And there's some on here where I call nice or solid swim, 640 swim. This is ridiculous. Remember me talking about streamlined body position?
Everybody, Stu
Look at this
Smith, another
baby.
CSS
That's a
critique, and you're
streamlined
about
body
to
right
see
there.
a guy who
Boom.
just swam a 640,
bam,
showing his perfect
yeah,
stroke.
solid.
Top arm, bottom arm, kick and glide. It's got a nice little
Believe it or not,
breaststroke
slow.
kick. Those little dolphin
This
kick
guy's
in there. I don't
swimming a
know if it's
640.
needed, but he's just got a solid pull.
So anyway, there's a whole bunch of them in here. Sub 8 pace, easy, solid CSS, excellent. You know, there's a couple I put on top that might say perfect. You know, perfect CSS, smooth, solid, excellent. Yeah. So anyway, you guys check those out, and I'm telling you, compare them to what you're doing. Send them to me. I'll also tell you what you're doing right or wrong. But if yours doesn't look like that, I would seriously start trying to make it look like that. Sometimes a picture's worth 1,000 words. I'd rather you see yourself doing something wrong and then seeing it done right and say, okay, I need to pull better. I need to kick a little better. Right. You know, so sometimes you just seeing it is going to be a lot more effective to you than me just saying, hey, kick better, glide longer, don't pop your head up to breathe. So check out my latest article too. Fixing your glide. In fact, there's a whole. In fact, I'm going to show you this one too. This is that important. I'm going to put the link in here because it is all my CSS videos and articles that I have written on one page. So it is called the CSS Combat Swimmer Stroke One Stop Shop. As you guys can see here. Um, It's just pictures and videos. These are my most recent ones. CSS Help, fix your kick. CSS Help, fix your glide. Fix your sequence. Pull, breathe, kick, glide. CSS Debate. Do you pull out? Do you not? Breaststroke pullout issues. Coaching the CSS. Common coaching cues to help you learn. You know, these are all articles and usually videos. Best workouts to get in shape for 500-yard swim test. 50-50, crush the PST in weeks. Air Force. I even have an Air Force version of the 50-50. Really good. This is a classic video over on YouTube. Uh, CSS of a non-swimming athlete. This was one of those guys that could swim 7 minutes and smooth and was a football player. Common errors that ruin your PST scores. You know, countless articles. PST Clinic. You want to learn how to crush PST? Read this article. These are free articles out there. When people ask me questions sometimes, it's like they really haven't even looked. But that's okay. I'm here to show you where to find it. That is a great source for anything swimming and PST related. All right, guys, I got to go. I appreciate your time. If you guys stuck around this long, use the live15 coupon code over at StuSmithFitness.com. Books and ebooks, especially if you're wanting some of these type of programs that take the guessing work away from you. But yeah, check out TikTok or Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. You know, all of these have tons of CSS and CSS Swim critique videos in there for you. They can get you to the next level. All right, folks. I guess I'm done. I went a little long today. I appreciate your time. I will be back next week. Until then, you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday week. And yeah, stay safe. Have fun.